Hello friends, I'm Colin and welcome back to my channel. I have really been going through it over the past couple days. I started a new medication for my really horrible seasonal allergies, and this particular medication apparently rarely can give you flu-like symptoms, and I was the lucky winner of that. I woke up yesterday with a fever, a headache, like full body muscle aches, like the whole shebang. So I spent most of yesterday languishing on my couch watching 70s game shows. I really actually had a moment where I was like, am I actually sick? Do I have the flu? But under advisement from my doctor, of course, I stopped taking it, and I'm pretty much normal today, except I am just really tired. I don't know, I was so exhausted that I just didn't have the energy to even shower this morning. So I feel like I'm gross, and I feel like maybe I look gross. I don't know if you can tell, but just in case you can tell how tired and gross I feel, that's why.
Bestie, you look the same as you always do!
Well, I'm here once again to talk about Glitter and Lasers, because just yesterday, she released a video about her first lipedema surgery. And it's titled, appropriately enough, My First Lipedema Surgery. I don't think she changed any thumbnails or changed any titles on this one, thank goodness, because I've been too miserable to play detective this time around. Now, the thing about this video is it's actually age restricted, because it does show some like actual surgery scenes, and I just want to guarantee you that I will not be showing any surgical footage in this video. Personally, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I regularly watch My 600-Pound Life, where they show surgical footage, and I eat dinner while I watch that show. Maybe that says more about me, but I know a lot of people are squeamish about that kind of thing. And also, I don't want my video to be age restricted. So I'm probably just gonna do kind of a review, and whenever I do put in clips, I'll try to, I don't know, I'll probably just crop it or blur stuff just to spare your eyes. I mean, most of the footage she's showing is stuff that we've already seen from a lot of her TikToks, and like, I guess that kind of makes sense. She probably has different audiences that watch different things she posts, so she could have a huge YouTube audience who really only knows her from her clothing hauls and whatnot, who aren't following her anywhere else and haven't really seen all this stuff. So I guess that kind of makes sense. So, you know, it came as no surprise when she showed up on the video wearing her just stunning and dazzling and iconic surgery day outfit that we've seen before.
I am in the sickest outfit one could ever get surgery in. Let me show you. I mean, it is giving summer body ready. Surgery edition.
And Anna just kind of walks you through the whole surgery process with Dr. Amron and his team at the Roxbury Institute. And I mean, this is really where it starts to feel like what I think it is, which is an ad. I mean, the last video was an ad too. I think most of Anna's lipedema surgery journey has been just an ad. I mean, I do genuinely think that she feels like she needs to do this for her health. But like, we can't ignore the fact that she is just milking it dry. So finally, Dr. Amron comes in, you know, with his foodie beauty low BMI voice, and tries to explain to us what exactly he's doing in this surgery.
After you understand, you have to design things. You have to engineer the process. Okay, a lot of it's not just artistry. You know, it's understanding first. It's engineering design second. Ultimately, it's your performance. You know, it's your physical performance of that all that designing and artistry and all that stuff.
And I noticed something actually while he was like drawing the surgery marks on Anna's legs, that he asked if her knees are bugging her, and she says yes. And when he asks if she's been evaluated, she says no.
How are your knees?
Not great.
They've evaluated?
No, I don't think it, muscle-wise, I think they're okay.
But I mean, the joint itself's okay?
I have not had them evaluated.
And I'm like, okay, but she has definitely mentioned having knee injuries before, right? Like, multiple times during her Run Lab journey, she was talking about how she'd had a re-aggravated knee injury.
I have this knee injury that I am working through, and we got about, I guess it's about 2.25 in, and I'm just starting to have some pain. The way they told me is to keep going if it's below a 4.
And now that she's telling Dr. Amron that she hasn't even been evaluated, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Does she mean, like, not recently or not ever? Because, like, everyone told her during that whole series, like, hey, you're gonna wreck your knees. And now she's like, well, I've never been evaluated, but they do bother me. I don't know, that just in particular stuck out to me because I'm like, is he trying to say it's the lipedema causing her knee problems? Or is she trying to say that? Or is that just a question? That's just what I want to know. So we actually do go in the operating room and they explain exactly how everything goes. One thing that's really interesting is they use like a twilight anesthesia. And I think they do this for multiple reasons. Like one of the reasons they state is that like, so they can communicate with her and she's still able to move, so they can like maneuver around, so they could do all the parts of the liposuction they need to do. But also I kind of have the feeling that like, maybe this is the reason why they don't have like a BMI limit. Specifically, Dr. Amron's practice doesn't have a BMI limit because, you know, anesthesia, like being under like deep anesthesia, not just like the twilight sleep, can be extremely risky if you're morbidly obese. That's something I've seen other people suggest in my comments, and it kind of made me think like maybe that is part of the reason why. But also when you're doing like a large scale liposuction, like your whole leg, it kind of makes sense for you to want to have someone move themselves around. Okay, and as I always tend to be doing lately, there was one part of this video that sent me down a rabbit hole. There's one part that I kind of wish I could show you because it has to do with the color of the fat that they're removing. But he specifically shows there's like it's basically just getting sucked out. I mean, it's liposuction. Yeah, sounds about right. You can see in the tube, he's like, oh, it's white. And normally fat is yellow, so you can tell like how fibrotic it is.
Point out how pure it is, how there's almost no blood in the way in which I do it because I prepare the tissue properly first. But you can kind of get a sense that her fat has more of a whiter yellow quality to it, or a yellowish white quality. The scar tissue is white. Fat is yellow. This has a lot of whiteness. There's a lot of scar tissue, a lot of fibrosis in her fat.
And I was just like, huh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. So I looked it up. And as far as like the tissue being white instead of yellow, I think that can also be a cause of the fibrosis, sure. But also, fat can be a lot of different colors. I mean, this specific type of fat is called white adipose tissue, and like, he's right, it is usually yellow, but it can be white and it can be pink. I mean, the word fibrosis is used and emphasized so much in this video and has been emphasized in previous videos as kind of evidence of first of all, Anna having lipedema, but also how severe it is. Fat can just become fibrotic as a side effect of obesity. That's just a thing that can happen. And the fibrosis itself can cause like a cascade of other issues like diabetes and other like metabolic issues. And like, again, I do think that Anna probably has lipedema, but the fibrosis itself could also just be a consequence of her being obese. That's just something that can happen. So like, could Dr. Amron be right that Anna's fat has turned white because of all the fibrosis? That could absolutely be true. Could it also be true that her fat just happened to be white? Yes. And also, does this fibrosis indicate for absolute certain that lipedema is the cause? Not necessarily. And I think this whole video is framed in such a disingenuous way because they're not explaining that could be the possibility. They emphasize so much that, oh, she's so full of fibrosis, especially when they're talking about her abdomen. Her abdomen has fibrosis in it as kind of a shorthand for saying, so clearly she has lipedema everywhere, right? Because look how fibrotic this is.
Well, I can feel a lot of fibrosis here. So if people think lipedema does not occur in other areas of the torso, it can. And again, especially in patients like Anna that are more advanced with pelvic girdle involvement with it. Lipedema is a systemic condition.
Completely ignoring the fact that also obesity itself can cause fibrosis in the fat. And there's a scene at the very end of this video after the surgery where she's like, oh, he told me he was surprised at how fibrotic the fat was. And like, that's a sign that it was clearly the right time to do this before it got any worse.
He said that it was like way more fibrotic than he initially had thought, which means it's, again, really good that I took care of this now versus like waiting on it because it could have caused a lot more problems.
And, you know, in my opinion, yeah, now is the best time to do something. I don't think liposuction was the right move at this point in time. Obviously, I'm not an expert on any of this. In my opinion, if Anna is going to get any surgery to try to help deal with her problems, I think weight loss surgery would be the best one. But she would absolutely hate to hear me or anyone else say that, and we'll get to that later. I don't know, the whole relationship between Anna and Dr. Amron just feels so uncomfortable to me. Not in like a creepy way, I don't think it's anything like that. But I do definitely think that Anna really respects him as an authority, and she's going to take anything he says to heart. And I think, number one, that's because he buys into a lot of the things that she believes in. And I think that's why she chose him as her surgeon in the first place. And because he affirmed her before, I think she's going to take anything he says from here on out at face value. One thing that I really doubted from the beginning when I first saw this in a TikTok was that Anna was like, wow, I actually feel great, like literally minutes after surgery. And the same day or the next day after her surgery, she was like, I feel great, all my pain is gone, etc., etc. And she even said that she wasn't taking any pain medication. And I just found all of that so hard to believe.
I already feel a lot better, to be really honest, which is kind of shocking because I literally had surgery 15 minutes ago. I am one day out of surgery and I am dancing with my nurse. And I don't know how I feel this good, but it's like a lot of pain is gone. And I feel freaking amazing. And I just want to move.
It could be true. It very well could be true. I just think that sounds bizarre and very unlike a lot of the stories I've seen from other people who've had the same surgery. But I also noticed that in the operating room, while Anna is under twilight anesthesia, still communicating with the doctors and the nurses around her, Dr. Amron says, yeah, well, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and she'll notice that the pain is gone pretty much right away.
It's much better. Her pain's going to be kind of gone in this area right away.
I'm like, well, Anna is laying there awake, conscious, hearing him say this. And there is something to be said for, like, the influence of the authority of your doctor. I mean, that's part of the reason the placebo effect works. You know, if a doctor is giving you a medicine, your psychology will take that authority and apply it, and oftentimes a placebo will work. And I just have to wonder if her hearing him say that had anything at all to do with how quickly she improved and or at least claimed to improve after surgery. Because there's a couple of different possibilities here, right? Like, I mean, number one, he's right that this certain type of surgery immediately improves pain, and she experienced that. Number two, she was really under the influence of respecting his authority, and that kind of maybe gave her a little placebo bump. Or number three, she could just be lying to make him look good. I mean, we can't ignore that as a possibility. I mean, it's really cynical of me to say, and I don't even know if that's the most likely possibility. It is definitely a possibility. Look, the whole video and the whole series thus far has been just a big advertisement. Whether or not they're actually disclosing if it is an advertisement or not, that's certainly what it feels like. And I mean, I can see why Anna likes him so much. While she's in the operating room, he literally calls her an A+ patient.
If she entertains us, as opposed to the other way around, she's an A+ patient. I have a feeling it's going to be that way.
If there's anything Anna loves, it's being validated by an authority figure. So that's what you missed without all the blood and guts. And, you know, I did say that this felt like an ad without being disclosed as an ad, but I would be remiss to not read the description, wouldn't I? It says, "Hello everyone, join me as I take you through my surgery to treat my stage 4 lipedema performed by the amazing Dr. David Amron at the Roxbury Institute. This procedure is part of their advanced lipedema treatment program and follows specific principles and techniques developed by Dr. Amron over the past 30 years to fully treat the disease and maximize results. This approach has given me hope for my future prospect at managing my condition and my chronic pain. For those curious about why I'm awake during the surgery, let me explain." Even though she explained it in the video, Dr. Amron uses twilight anesthesia, a safer form of anesthesia where the patient is comfortably sedated but also responsive. This allows the patient to reposition themselves during the procedure as needed. With this method, I felt totally at ease. This approach kept me alert enough to adjust my position whenever Dr. Amron required, ensuring the best possible outcome. Twilight anesthesia also provides a faster recovery, less pain and bruising, and lower risk of complications as compared to general anesthesia. All these factors made me feel safe and taken care of by Dr. Amron and his team. I hope my experience can shed some light on lipedema and the treatments available. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, for more updates on my recovery journey and other health-related content. And then, of course, there are links and resources. Learn more about Dr. Amron and the ALT program, and then it's a link to advanced lipedema treatment, a link to the Roxbury Institute. Learn more about lipedema at lipedema.org, and then there's a bunch of hashtags. Interesting, I really was looking for a hashtag ALT ambassador here. I've mentioned before, she's used that hashtag only a couple of times, but she just kind of stopped using it, or at least I haven't noticed her using it since then. So yeah, no disclosure of any kind of ad here or sponsorship. And I just really wonder, is this not an advertisement? I mean, is she not benefiting financially from this in some way? Are they not benefiting financially from this in some way? I mean, at least with the Run Lab situation where she was adamant that it wasn't sponsored, but they gave her some free stuff, at least she disclosed that part. Maybe she got enough heat from that disclosure that she decided to not do that this time, but like, isn't that kind of worse? I don't know. I'm not gonna go as far as to say she's doing anything illegal here because I simply don't know. But I would also be extremely surprised if there was not some quid pro quo going on here. Alright, let's move on to TikTok, shall we? So something that's often recommended for lipedema and lymphedema is a pump, which is like, well, you'll see in the video. It's like a suit that like inflates and causes pressure. Very, very intense compression garments.
I'm getting fitted for a machine that does lymphatic drainage, and it's a lot. He's getting ready to fit me, guys! Getting that custom fit. Just like swells up and then swells down. This is like a giant meat tube. Science.
I've just decided that my new goal in life is to be the new model for this machine.
That was just the basic model. Now we get on to the Gucci.
That chic gray.
Ooh, it's the color of the season.
Your bandana's clashing though, so we should mix it up.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, sorry. I changed my scarf because he judged me.
Yes, I did. But it's better.
It is better. Best part is y'all are gonna ask for his contact info, but he has no social media and has no desire, so.
Yeah. Have you adjust to where you need it to be to effectively treat the body and get that contour, and then once you build it, we'll just unzip it and slide it off.
Amazing. It inflates in the nether regions and I did not anticipate this. I didn't think you were being real with me.
It's a weird thing to make up.
And people make up stuff like that all the time. Here's the final reveal. He's just strapping me in the jacket now.
Yeah. Yeah, straight jacket. One arm.
Wild. It's like a puffer coat, but medical.
And I've seen a lot of comments about how annoying Anna was and how creepy she was towards this guy who's come to fit her. And yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, when is Anna not annoying? But I don't know, the guy seemed to be along for the ride. He clearly gave her permission to film him, and he even filmed her from time to time. I did think it was weird that she's like, people are gonna ask for your contact information, but you're not online at all. And it's like, people are gonna ask for his contact info? This random medical worker who's come to fit you for your medical device? Are people really that creepy online? And then I found out, yes, people are that creepy. Because if you go in the comments of that TikTok, people are being creepy. I don't see a ring on his finger. Mr. Mans, ask our girl out. Is he single? Asking for a friend. You're the friend. I ran to the comments to see if everyone else felt the spark too. Heart eyes emoji. So cute. I mean, I'm scrolling, I'm seeing more comments about how this is a meet cute, and I'm like, ma'am, this is his job. So I don't know, a little creepy on her part, really creepy on the comments part. But yeah, I think the most concerning and important part of this whole video is actually the very end.
I was having a lot of fun. And I was like, this is great, until I found out how often I have to use that machine. I have to use it every day for 2 hours for the rest of my life. I'm still processing. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I mean, that's some serious business. And well, as much as she says she's done everything she can, we've really never seen her, go along with the suggested treatments for lipedema. So I'm curious to find out if she actually will comply with this or not, because I mean, I definitely feel empathetic with her. Like, if I had to do this, for 2 hours every day for the rest of my life, I would be pretty devastated. And there are people who do have to do this, and like, that's kind of intense. Most of Anna's other TikToks have been kind of boring, kind of uneventful. She's been trying to walk more since, she's not been able to do a lot because of the surgery. She walked in the mall, she walked in the pool, and she's been doing a hell of a lot of Starbucks ads.
Got myself a little Betty.
Did you know there's a Starbucks in the Empire State Building?
This isn't for me. This is for my friend. I got a milkshake.
But anyway, she's been following her diet perfectly. In a previous video, I talked a little bit about Anna's Threads, which is a much smaller platform for her than some of her other ones. She is really going off the rails over there. Here's something wild that people don't understand about folks with lipedema. I can gain 20 to 30 pounds of swelling in 2 days, just instantly be 30 pounds heavier. I might have to go up a size in my clothing. I might lose the range of motion in some of my joints. My legs will feel heavy, my veins pop out, and I will bruise with a slight touch. Most of the time I can't tell you why it's happening, so I have to play a fun game of tweaking my entire life just to get back to some sort of normalcy. Do I doubt that happens to her? Well, the 20 to 30 pounds I do kind of doubt. It's feeling very ALR coded. I was in the car, so I gained 10 pounds. There is a lot of debate about lymphedema and lipedema and whether or not the lymphatics are involved. And like, this is something I will go in more depth in my lipedema video. I'm so sorry, I'm still working on it. The swelling here is probably more related to lymphedema than lipedema, if I had to guess, because, I mean, lymphedema is fluid, and fluid obstruction that I feel like kind of, ebbs and flows, if you will. But like, lipedema itself is mostly fat, hence the liposuction. So the whole 20 to 30 pounds of swelling, I don't know about all that. Of course, I know there will be people in my comments that are like, yes, but lymphedema is a thing. And it's like, I think specifically applying this type of swelling thing to lipedema feels a little bit not quite the whole story, or at least a little bit misleading. I really don't feel like I explained that as well as I could have. Basically, my point was that the relationship between lipedema and lymphedema is kind of complicated, and it's too much for me to get into right at this moment. But I think the thing that she should have emphasized is that the 20 to 30 pounds of swelling was not like lipedema fat swelling. It was more likely lymphedema fluid swelling. I just feel like that's a very important distinction to make that she just isn't making and has never made. Here's another. I'm adopting the Chapel perspective on bullying. If it's a mean comment, it's by a bot. If it's a rude video about me, it's clearly AI. If trolls can be delusional, so can I. Well, at least she's self-aware, huh? I'm fat. Now let's talk about something that's actually interesting about me. Well, girl, I feel like we would talk more about other things about you if you didn't talk about your weight all the time yourself. I mean, her entire brand thus far has been about, well, plus-size fashion, specifically plus-size travel. And now the whole discussion is about lipedema, which is inherently tied to her weight and her shape. Like, what do you expect people to talk about? Now, this, I think, has been the most interesting thread I've seen so far. You know what's concerning? The fact that multiple people have reached out to me asking me about my gastric bypass surgery. For the record, I did not have gastric bypass and never intend to. I had surgery to remove my lipedema and have at least 3 more surgeries to go. But because people are only used to seeing plus-size people talk about surgery in the context of weight loss, they just assume that's the surgery I've had. Mind blown emoji. And, well, to be honest, to be frank, I think people assume she had gastric bypass surgery because she's a really good candidate for it. As much as she wants us to believe that all the fat on her body is lipedema, once again, I'm gonna say, I think a lot of it is just regular run-of-the-mill fat. I do, in my personal opinion, think it's really irresponsible for Dr. Amron and other doctors like him to not at least encourage their patients to try to lose the other fat before they do this procedure on them. I guarantee if she had gastric bypass or another type of bariatric surgery, she would see some success. I can't guarantee how much success, obviously, but I feel like she would have some. And that's kind of the problem, isn't it? Because, well, if she did have that success, it would require her to admit that she'd been wrong. Now that she's put out into the universe that gastric bypass wouldn't work for her or that she never intends to have it, that kind of locks her into this position, doesn't it? It's way easier to doctor shop and allow yourself to be delusional. Another thread. I often let people I disagree with on various topics talk about their beliefs with me. Here's why. I believe diversity of thought is essential to progress, to learning and growth. So even though I may not agree with someone, I've learned that hearing them out ultimately helps me grow. It either A, reinforces my own beliefs with new information, B, opens me up to a new way of thinking that may alter how I think over time, C, leads to a new train of thought that evolves the discussion for both parties. And you know what? I agree with that philosophy myself. The problem is I don't think we've ever seen that in practice for Anna. I honestly, I would be willing to bet that this particular thread was about something like politics, listening to your relatives that you don't agree with politically just because, having that conversation and furthering that conversation allows all of those things that she just listed. And I think that's great. And that's something that I've struggled with myself. But I don't think she would apply these same principles to people disagreeing with her about the things that she believes about herself, like the whole whether gastric bypass would work or not, or, certain other bits of misinformation that she's spread over the years. I mean, like she just said, the people who disagree with her are bots or AI. Another thread. The saddest thing about being a creator is that as you grow, you lose friends. People resent you or use you or want to compete with you or can't understand your new normal. I've learned not to take it personal, but man, it still sucks every time. Followed by, it's fun to be a creator. It's also a ton of work. we should talk about that second bit more. Oh, it's so much work. Oh, it's so much work to shill Starbucks on TikTok. I'm not denying that being an influencer is work. Like, I just think it's so out of touch and privileged to just get online and say these kind of things. Do I think my job is difficult? Not really. I mean, it has its days. I'm not going to say my job is easy. I have a corporate office job where I do payroll. And like, I live a perfectly comfortable life, like a perfectly comfortable, like middle class-ish life. And if my current self went back to my past self who was working retail and complained about how hard I have it, bitch, I would slap the shit out of myself. I don't know. I just don't think she's in the kind of position to complain about how hard her job is. Kind of funny how those two posts are back to back, right? About losing friends because they don't understand your new normal or whatever. And it's like, well, I don't know, Anna. Maybe it's because you come across as extremely entitled and whiny. And lastly, here's one from just a couple hours ago. I love you, nature. Why must you hurt me in return? Hashtag allergy season. And God, I can just relate to that one, all right? We have to have a little bit of affinity there at the end, don't we? All right, friends. Well, I think that's enough of a recap of what Anna has been up to lately. I am gonna go make dinner. I'm making pizza tonight. I'm making spinach ricotta pizza. And let me tell you, if you're looking for a lower calorie pizza crust, my favorite is it's about 2 cups of self-rising flour to about 1 cup of just plain Greek yogurt. I use whole fat and just a little bit of salt, and you mix it up and you add a little water if you need to, and you let it sit for a few minutes, and then you just do your thing. That much can probably make like 2 thin crust pizzas is usually what I go for. And it's like, it's ridiculously easy. I think it tastes perfectly fine. I would kind of equate the taste to like, you know those like Chef Boyardee like pizza dough mixes? I grew up eating that before my mom went a little crazy with the health food stuff. I grew up eating that kind of stuff, and I think it tastes very similar. So if you want a recommendation for a pizza crust, there it is. Nobody asked, but there it is. All right, y'all. Thanks for sticking with me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I will see you next time.